Lyme's disease is a chronic, extremely painful condition caused by the bite of a tick. This disease has been proven to be very controversial due to the different symptoms each person experiences. Doctors have continuously fought and researched this disease to help it get the recognition it needs. There have even been various documentaries such as this one called Under Our Skin by Andy Williams that shows perfectly healthy people and their experience with Lyme disease. Here lies the course of the disease and how fast it is spreading across the world. Millions of people have been affected by this disease, but yet doctors still believe it not to be true. This is my mom's story and the struggles she's had with Lyme's disease.
Have the disease Lyme's disease, correct?
Yes.
And when were you diagnosed with this disease?
That's the problem. I contracted it at a very different time than I was diagnosed. I was diagnosed 8 years after I contracted it. So it was, I'm trying to think, 2008.
Here's a photo shortly after my mom was bitten.
I was bitten in 2002 by this tick. Lyme disease wasn't.
With me sitting on your lap.
Yep. Lyme disease was, you had just been born, you were only 6 months old. And I really did not know about Lyme disease. You'd heard about Rocky Mountain fever and stuff like that, and I didn't get a fever, but I had a bullseye for probably 8 months. And now we know if you get a bullseye, that's really dangerous, and you're supposed to go on antibiotics for at least a month immediately after the bite. You should save your tick, have it analyzed to see what diseases it carries. And if you catch Lyme early, then it's usually eradicated very quickly. So if you have a tick, you go to the doctor, you get on antibiotics for at least a month. They may fight you on that, but you fight for that back, and you try and get on the antibiotics for 1 month, and then it will most likely be gone in your life. But there are theories out there that I was bitten a lot as a child by ticks because I had ticks all the time. So there is a theory that, eventually ticks, it stays and your immune system can fight it for so long, and then if you get a powerful bite like I did in 2002, then all that could just be awakened. And that was the final straw. There's a lot of the immune disorders that I've tested positive for. So, it's just a constant struggle. And one of the big things is doctors don't know what to do with you. They just don't. And often people are triggered as mentally ill when they have chronic Lyme disease because there are a lot of people that don't necessarily believe in chronic Lyme. And I've even wondered that myself, and that's why I've seen so many therapists in my life and tried to make sure that I was of sane mind, because you start to wonder yourself. Like, I have to say firsthand that my life was very different until I was bitten by that tick in 2002, and I was vibrant, healthy, a go-getter, had 2 children, very active, played tennis around the clock, weighed 80 pounds less, was just 60 to 80 pounds less at that point, and I just all of a sudden stopped being able to do stuff and started being in chronic pain, and that's when I went to a neurologist and was tested for everything because I couldn't even walk anymore. And I tested positive to the ELISA test, and that is one that tells you if you have Lyme or not. And then I tested negative when they did the test to fine-tune it, the greater test. But what it comes down to is the greater test is the same test they check for AIDS and all these other. There's no real test for Lyme disease to determine if that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tested negative that time, but because I tested positive to ELISA, I was recommended that I seek further treatment possibly, and then I went to a specialist, and then I tested positive twice for Lyme, but I've tested negative again.
How does it affect your daily life, and what are your symptoms?
From what I understand and through my education of Lyme disease, Lyme goes after your weakest links. So it finds areas that you struggle with and it attacks it. It supposedly also works in conjunction with your immune system. So it tricks your immune system to thinking it's supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So my symptoms are chronic vertigo, fatigue, pain, joint pain, imbalance, a lot of just overall angst and anxiety and depression, quite frankly.
And being your daughter, I know that you can't lay down, and how does that affect you?
Well, I haven't been able to lie down in 7 years completely flat without having massive vertigo attacks. So that has been very traumatic because, as we all know, if you aren't able to sleep, then it affects everything in your life. So it leads to exhaustion, again, depression. There's a lot of emotional things that are tied to it as well because...
And do you take medicine to prevent these symptoms?
Well, I was treated for 4 years for Lyme disease with antibiotics and a lot of holistic treatments. I went to Maryland and Charlottesville to try and alleviate the problem. And I do feel like I did get better during that period, but I'm very cautiously optimistic that it's never going to end. It's something that just is very difficult, and it goes dormant in your body and then just rears up when you least expect it. And it's just one of those things I've accepted that I'm going to have to live with. And I do take medicine for vertigo. I have to take heart medicine for blood pressure issues. I have a sleep apnea machine, but I no longer am on antibiotics. And I take a lot of vitamins and a lot of things to try and keep my immune system strong enough to combat. I've been to so many places, as you know. I've been to Johns Hopkins, I've traveled to Maryland and Charlottesville. I go to Michigan for these special glasses. I've done all these things, and we have just spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and I don't get better, so it's discouraging, and I find myself not probably taking care of myself as much because honestly I just don't know where else to go. So what I'm finding is I'm treating the symptoms more than I'm treating the disease, because I was told pretty much after the 4 years of Lyme treatment there weren't many more things, and by an immune doctor, he said, it's just, you just have to kind of stay ahead of your symptoms, most likely, because it's neurological and you can't really get rid of it once it's in your brain. It's really hard. My main objective at the moment is to try and keep moving, because I can't get sedentary, because that's the worst thing, and it's really hard to keep moving when you're always off balance and you hurt. So that's just my goal right now. That's the thing about Lyme, is it goes dormant in your body for periods of time, and then something triggers it and you really don't know what it is. I would say I'm consistently aware every day that I have this issue, but I definitely have good days and I definitely have bad days. And I would say probably one of my biggest hurdles, I keep going back to this, is waking up every day and trying to look at life as a gift and not as a curse that I have this, and just realizing how blessed I am with everything else, and that this is just something I have to deal with, and I'm going to make the best of it. And I'm optimistic to new ideas, and I will hopefully, they'll keep working on this. And if I could afford to really go and venture into trying to figure out how to get rid of this, I would, but that's really not an option for us. So
thank you for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
I hope this video served as a reminder to live life to the fullest while you can. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my mom's story.